It was a good day. Okay,
Yeah.
so we're live, and let's see just how this. There we are. We're going live.
Hello, Dolores.
So, hi, Kim.
How
We're
are
live on the
We're
Facebook page.
live.
And we are, I'm going to see if I can figure this out to see how you see me. But this is the first time I'm doing an interview Facebook page live thing.
Oh, I'm excited to be the first test subject.
So today, Kim, we are going to be talking about how can writing your TED Talk help you in your business. So we will start with a little bit of tell me about you and tell me about, let's start with what are you passionate about?
Yeah, I am passionate about helping people learn to get along well with challenging people in their lives in a more peaceful way. And even a little deeper than that might be helping people get in touch with a place within them, really raising awareness around who they are and how they operate in the world so that they can find a little more peace in the way that they navigate and process and think about things in life.
And you and I worked together on your TEDx talk, and you took this. And you took the stage beautifully last year at TEDx New Bedford, and if I remember this correctly, you had a standing ovation.
Thank you. Yeah, that was exciting.
So I want to ask you, first, what was the process of writing and preparing for your TEDx talk? How was that process like for you?
I was ripping my hair out. It was really, really hard. I knew what I wanted to talk about, but to really hone in on a 15, 16-minute message that was clear, entertaining, if you will, that would grab the audience. Maybe I need to close my window. It's a little loud, but sorry. Was challenging, but so great. And, your little thing that you sent me of the arc of the talk and all that was really helpful. So I did really stick with that. That was really helpful in sort of fine-tuning the talk and getting my message across in a succinct way.
And let me ask you this. One of the questions I ask all the time, or the comments I get when I'm working with people is like, well, I actually know my talk. I know what I'm talking about. And one of the things I always say is that the real work in preparing for a TED Talk is that you actually are asked and kind of forced to open up a little bit more, go deeper, explore even deeper in yourself. And it is a process of engaging the mind and the intellect and your ideas. But I believe, and I think my clients' experience is that it's also a really big process opening up your heart.
Yeah.
And kind of connecting both. So talk to me about that.
Well, I have been a photographer for, almost 25, 30 years. And so for a long time, I've been examining people through my lens, whether I'm focused in tightly or backed up with a wide angle lens. So I found that to be an extremely mindful practice. So I've been really practicing mindfulness. I've been practicing it through the lens of my camera. And then I'm sure you're going to ask me a little bit more about my story, which I'm happy to get into. But then once my son arrived in my life, I began to look at him through a variety of lenses as well. And so I think that's what I started to really get at in my talk, was that who am I to even be talking about what I'm talking about? So that was the first thing, is to dive deeply into who am I? Like who what am I to talk about this topic, and who's going to even believe me to be valid or believable or what have you. So I really had to tap into that. Like, why is this important to me to even talk about? And I realized that it wasn't only just this short experience that I wanted to talk about with my son, but it was also where I came from and why that formed me to be the person that I am today to even talk about something like this. So,
yeah. And so what I'm hearing from you is that in the process of preparing for a talk like this kind, which it is different than other speaking engagements, is that I always say that it's a little bit like a process of unpacking yourself, like pretending that you are a puzzle and you're kind of built. And kind of, if you want to do this right, it unpacks yourself into pieces, and you bring them all back together to talk from a place of, this is what I have, this is what my work looks like, this is what I do, this is what my idea is, based on all my pieces of my life put together. Because one of the things that I know you and I talked about, but it comes up a lot in conversation, is that sometimes we look back at our lives, because I remember I asked you, like, why are you doing this? Why are you talking about this? And in asking those questions, you get answers that you might not have expected. Like, you get stories or experiences that you had when you were 10 years old, or 2 years old, or 15 years old, or your first job, that if you think about it logically, they do not connect with your today. But when you think about it as an exploration of which train brought you to the station, it all starts making sense.
Yeah.
And is what you're saying is this broader story, not the story you were talking on your talk, but like how all this make you the person to talk about that on the stage, make you validated you, if you want, to be the messenger. Because at the end of the day, I believe that we're all messengers of an idea or of a story or a message. And that is what we honor more than anything else.
Yeah. And I love connections. I love the idea of connecting this experience, that experience, and seeing how it formed you. And not that you have to talk about every single one of them, but just that it's an opportunity to take a look at those things and see how you got to where you are today. There's Kydell in the background, my son.
So let's talk about Kydell. He was one of the main characters of your talk.
Yeah, he got to come out on stage. Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know if your audience has listened to my talk, but it was a leading into how Kydell came into my life and how he became such a great spiritual teacher for me. I met him at a group home and fell in love with him, and we brought him into our home, and he was quite challenging, but at the same time a really good teacher for me, because I was on a path of learning about Buddhism and mindfulness, and taking it this mindful practice not just from behind the lens, but also with that camera down, which is what I talk about in the talk. And so being able to see Kydell for who he was, and not all my expectations around who I expected or wanted him to become or be. So yeah, Kydell has been a really wonderful teacher for me, and continues to be, as all children tend to be. But I think we were put together for very good reasons, and he's really changed my life in a very positive way, as well as my whole family's life. Yeah.
And for everybody listening, Kim's talk was a great combination of what we were just talking about. Is like coming full circle, sharing the story of their family journey through Kydell's adoption, but also how that experience kind of reinforced the work she had already began on meditation and mindfulness practices. And for everybody, I just pasted Kim's link to her TEDx if you want to watch it later. Now, this kind of leads into kind of what you're doing right now. So the first question I have for you, Kim, is how did the experience of writing the talk and being on that stage impact your business? And let me say that when I met Kim and when she started preparing for her talk, she had already begun writing a book. So it was kind of perfect coincidence that the talk she was on a stage about a week or two before her book was released. And then by the time she was on book tour, her talk was live on the internet. So on a marketing or visibility strategy wise, it was a perfect alignment. But what I ask you is, how did the process of clarifying your message worked on the process of launching and clarifying your business?
Yeah, I mean, it was huge. First of all, Dolores, or anyone listening, get Dolores on board with you. You were so helpful in just pulling out and pulling out and pulling out. And I think you and I, from the very beginning, were on the same page of, tying in my photography of looking through lenses and how I saw Kydell. We both agreed on that. But what I think you added so much for me was just really honing in and getting clear and making sure my message was authentic to who I am. And that's what really, I think, where your guidance has come in so strongly. So from there, taking that talk, first of all, I felt so empowered on that stage and realized, like, this is something I can do and I'm not half bad at it. And so now that I have this message and it's really clear, I can build upon it. And so I took that message in my, well, let me start from again. I have the talk now, so I can take that talk and essentially go anywhere with it. So
and actually, it's like an accordion, because it can expand to a whole day. It can expand to 5 minutes.
Which it has, and that's what I'm getting at, is that I can sit, be hired just to do a talk, and I can even expand on the talk a little bit to longer than 15 minutes, which I have done already. I've made it a 45-minute talk, so I just go into a little more detail around certain parts. And then, as a matter of fact, yesterday, I led a workshop for 9 Adidas sales guys, who are a team of sales guys, young, by the way. I presented my talk, and then we did workshop material around how to be mindful, how to be more present for the people that you're interacting with, and just showed them various techniques, a method I call pause. And so I showed them the pause method, and we did that in a workshop. So it was a 2-hour workshop. But I did the TED Talk essentially in the beginning, and I got hired because the gentleman who is the coordinator of his sales team saw my TED Talk and asked me to come present it. And then I went a little further with it and said, oh, and by the way, I can also add on this workshop material. And so it turned into a really, really awesome experience. So having that TED Talk is kind of almost like a calling card.
Yeah.
But the process itself really got me clear on where I want to go with this. Like, what's really important to me and how do I share that with other people? What did I learn from the experience, from writing it, from getting clear on my message, all of that. So it was amazing and so worth it. And you know my tagline, even if you never present your TED Talk, you should write one. It helps you get so clear on your message.
And yes, and that's why I wanted to talk about this, because with that said, Kim, who do you think should consider doing this work? Again, whether they ever land on a TEDx or not, or even if they're going to be using other forms of speaking, who should be looking at doing this work?
Everyone. Seriously. I mean, I was working today, a one-on-one kind of, mindfulness coaching that I do. And I even asked her, like, what is at your core as far as what you value in the world? And, even she's an entrepreneur, she's starting her own business, she's a young person, but I think for anyone who really wants to have a strong business, an authentic business, something that they're going to live, breathe, and feel good about and want to go and do every day, it has to come from that place that is so important to them. Because if it's not, you kind of go, I got to sit at my desk, I got to do the grind.
Well, I mean, I think you and I know that entrepreneurship is as wonderful as it can be painful. And anybody listening to this, if you agree, just type it on the chat, and you guys can see that I can showcase some of the comments that you are typing on the screen. So feel free to keep on writing, and we're going to go into Q&A in a little bit. But one of the things that I'm hearing from you, Kim, is that the process of writing a TED Talk is really the process of removing a lot of the noise that we that we kind of rely on, as I call them, shields. The more words and pomposity and stuff that you wrap your message around, the less your capacity to relay it. And so it really comes down to, okay, let's get all the way naked here. At the end of the day, what is your idea for impact? And one of the things that I always, and I remember telling you this, and also the other speakers I was coaching, that I said, well, give me your idea in 6 words or a short sentence. And most people just freak out when I say that. And they're like, okay, give me that. Let me explain more. And it's like,
yeah.
If you have that clarity, your idea should be able to stand on 6 words. And so if you have your 6-word idea statement, not only your TED Talk becomes easy, your marketing message becomes easy, your pitch, your sales calls, your, let me tell you what I do, the networking meeting, everything becomes easy. And as you said, it also helps us internally in our own emotional management, because as an entrepreneur, we tend to do this emotionally, right? Yeah, and it reminds us to anchor ourselves and say, why am I actually doing this?
Yeah.
And my idea worth sharing, if I were to share it, is I believe that every idea holds the capacity for impact. So my idea is to clarify ideas for impact so that we can all realize its value.
Yeah, and I think exactly what you said about kind of clearing away the riffraff, the extra words, the whole thing, which is what's so beautiful about the 15-minute, formula that TED wants you to stay within. And some of my favorite TED Talks are the really short and sweet ones. There's not a lot going on. And I think they just feel more authentic. And if there's any advice I would give from my side is that, write the whole thing, go nuts, write it. I mean, I had whiteboards up, I had the whole page, and then I would just cross out. Yeah, right. It's just like I'd cross out until I saw, or I'd keep writing, 10 times and then pull out the words I kept repeating. And then those were the ones that obviously were the most important. So there's all kinds of processes, but essentially what you're saying is so true, is just getting to that core point that is so important to you. Because I probably had a lot of time. I was one of the early acceptances in your group because I got called early and interviewed early. So I almost had 2 months to prepare, which was probably too much because I was just, going nuts. But at the same time, it was helpful for me because I could really just keep honing it in. And that was key.
And one last thing before we go into Q&A, you mentioned this word a few times, and you can't see the word, but everybody else can. The word is authenticity.
Yeah.
And I heard it over and over again, because I think what happens is that in order to really deliver that TED Talk, the kind of TED Talk that we are drawn to, the ones that we keep going back to over and over again, you really have to be internally in complete alignment with yourself first. And it's almost like there's no way you can try to be authentic. There's no being authentic. There's no trying authentic. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. There's just a being authentic. Yeah. And so the only way to stand on a stage and exude authenticity is to be in complete alignment of yourself. And so that's when we talk about, the connection or convergence of your head and your heart, and bringing a message that combines both parts. You have no choice but to be absolutely transparent and authentic. And you experience that with your standing ovation. And I always coach my clients is that when we become absolutely 100% authentic, there's no other choice but for the audience to fall in love with you.
Yeah, you have to get a little vulnerable and dig deep. And I remember I did so many exercises on heart opening. I was breathing with my, just taking heart opening breaths, and before I got out there, just so that I felt I could even deliver the talk in an authentic way, so that I wasn't overthinking it or wondering if I was standing in the right spot or any of that stuff, because it distracts you, first of all, and you've got to memorize this thing and you want it to sound unmemorized and all of that. But so all the steps along the way are really about just trusting and opening to your clear message. You've got it. You've found it, obviously, with your guidance, and it opens you up, and there it is. Like, you just trust it at that point. If you know you got it, you know you got it. But if there's ever a doubt, you go, it's not right. And that's what I was doing for those first few weeks, is just like, it's not right, it's not right. And then when I hit it, it was like, yes, there it is. And then I just trusted from there. Okay.
When they said that yes, explain to everybody, how did that yes felt?
It feels in alignment. If you feel that you're clear, you're open, and it's on point. I don't know. It's hard to explain because it's just you being
a physical expression.
Being. I wasn't worrying in the past, and I wasn't planning for anything. I landed. You feel like you land. Effortless. Effortless. Yeah. There's no push. There's no struggle. You're just like, that's it. There it is.
I love it. Effortless and landed. I love that.
Yeah.
It's other things showed up. So I want everybody to start thinking about questions you might want to ask Kim or me. And while everybody starts thinking on questions, Kim, what else do you want to add? Tell us about your book. Where can we find your book or your work? Tell us about your work.
Sure. The best place to find all of that is my website, www.kimfullerphotography.com. I have changed it quite dramatically over the past few months, from being a complete photography site to including my pause method, various workshops around that. I have a workshop called The Mindful Photographer. So I actually teach people how to be mindful through the lens of the camera, and then hopefully being able to translate that mindfulness without the camera up. So that's a really fun way to explore. My book is called Finding, and you can also link to it on my site and order it through there. And then, hopefully enjoy that and learn some of the mindfulness techniques that I used working with Kydell, what his issues were, how we trained our minds together, me through meditation, him through attachment issues. So it's all starting to tie together. My photography, my upbringing, my raising of 2 children, and then Kydell, now having 3 children. So, and now I continue. So it's just this lovely weave and flow of my life. But I'm excited because I think I'm definitely shifting as a person, and hopefully learning so much along the way. Now I can help other people. So I use my photography still, but I also love the workshops. So it's great. So you can find it all on my website pretty much. Yeah.
I love it. And for, I was putting the comments on the screen. It's not coming up right now, but that's okay. I want you guys to start writing some of the questions. I saw Paula saying, and she just left it, but she was talking about, and Kenna was talking about this too, of when we talked about the journey of the entrepreneur and the emotional process, right? One of the things that I've learned from coaching people, and I've learned about you, Kim, and is that, what you said about the landing and effortless is really about that, is that as an entrepreneur, we do not have someone above us that marks our way, that tells us every morning, wake up and do this. And that is actually why people become entrepreneurs. But then when every Monday morning you wake up and I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to do today? Yeah. It actually can become very frustrating and very overwhelming. And you talked about effortless and landed. And I relate to that as one of the practices of an entrepreneur is to not worry what you did yesterday, not worry about what is going to come tomorrow, but if you're anchored on your idea for impact, then what is available to you right now? Yep. Today is Friday. In this Friday afternoon, if I want to realize my idea for impact, what is it in front of me, the little action I can take that is effortless and that it feels landed? And I wanted to tie, your experience on TEDx on the reality of most of the people watching this video. We are all if we are in this video, if we are all in this conversation, it's because we are creating, we're offering our idea gift to the world. And by doing so, we are creating our reality every day.
Yeah.
And the creation process is amazingly powerful and gratifying, as it is scary and frustrating.
Well, I said to my client today, I said,
right?
if you don't have some fear around this,
so to anything I should be adding, Kim?
Yeah, no, I mean, you're amazing, Dolores. I think that what I love about working with you is that you're very present. You're as present as I try to be. And that's, when you're with someone, that's important, especially if they're coaching you, because you don't want someone who's distracted or has their own agenda. So I appreciate that. But yeah, again, just if any of you listening are planning on doing a TED Talk, I had no idea how powerful it was going to be, how clear I would get on my message or any of that. I was excited as hell. I mean, I really was very, very excited. And so I worked on it a lot. But I think there was a reason I was excited. And I think that's the feeling that I want to keep in my life. I want to feel that excited about everything that I'm delivering out into the world. And that's what I was essentially doing, was I was delivering something to people. And I'm a type A personality. I need perfection. But in some ways, there was a lot of let it go as well around, how is this going to come out? Are people going to like me? Are they going to like the talk? You got to let that go, because what I know from my practice, not the practical side, but the reality side, is that I will resonate with some people and it will resonate hard, and with others it won't at all, and maybe some few in the middle. But the point is, I can't worry about that. I just have to do what's right for me as far as how it goes to express myself and be out there in the world, and trust that.
Yeah, I love that. I love it.
There, it's happening.
It's happening, yes. So I want to wrap up our session today with a story. You allow me to tell everybody a story.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. Know this. But I'm going to preface this with, there was a moment so for those that don't know me enough, my name is Dolores, by the way, and I'm the founder of Masters in Clarity. And I organized the largest TEDx event in the East Coast. Did you know that, Kim? That we are the largest.
I mean, I kind of assumed that over the years, knowing other TED platforms that have not been as big. So, and so every year I am on a stage with these wonderful speakers who are giving the gift of their ideas to the audience. And in one of these events, I was standing in the backstage with one of the speakers who was completely freaking out about getting on stage. She was just all over the place, and she was focusing on what any human being would focus right before a stage. It's like the conversation in her head was like, will they judge me? What will they think of me? Is my outfit okay? My hair, the external stuff. And I remember grabbing her hands and saying to her, what if I were to tell you that you don't matter in this conversation, that this is not about you? And I was being kind. It was not about we don't care about you. It was like, you are just a messenger. You're gifted with an idea for impact. Your responsibility is to deliver it. And that anything that happens that starts with I don't feel good, or I am scared, or anything that starts with I before you take the stage actually is your ego trying to keep you small. More like, this is scary. This experience.
The experience is, and why am I chosen to do this? But the truth is that each one of us, if we're considering this work, is because we are saying yes to a gift, an idea that we were gifted. And with that, I'm going to read you a story. I'm going to do it quick. So the book is called What Do You Do With an Idea? And by the way, if you ever work with me as my client or speaker, you're going to get this book as a gift. So what do you do with an idea? It was written and illustrated by Kobi Yamada and May Besson. I did not write this book. So one day I had an idea. Sorry, let me see if I can get this right. I'm not a professional here. One day I had an idea. Where did it come from? Why is it here? I wondered. What do you do with an idea? Can everybody see? So here's the idea. At first I didn't think much of it. It seemed kind of strange and fragile. I didn't know what to do with it, so I just walked away from it. I acted like it didn't belong to me. But it followed me. How many of you have had an idea or a thought of something you wanted to do, and it just doesn't want to leave your head? It just keeps bugging you.
Well, mine was like that for writing a book. And
yeah.
all of a sudden, just the idea was like too strong.
Too strong, and you just have to do it.
Got to do it.
I worried what others would think. What would people say about my idea, right? A conversation of self-judgment. I kept it to myself. I hid it away and didn't talk about it. I tried to act like everything was the same as it was before my idea showed up. Kara, this is your story, I know. But there was something magical about my idea. I had to admit, I felt better and happier when it was around, when the idea was around. Here's another part of the story. I don't know how much you guys can see. Actually, I'm going to put it in full screen again for a minute.
Yeah, go ahead.
There we go. And it wanted food. It wanted to play. Actually, it wanted a lot of attention. It grew bigger, and we became friends. I showed it to other people, even though I was afraid of what they would say. I was afraid that if people saw it, they would laugh at me. I was afraid they would think it was silly. I know, Kara, I am talking to you right now. And many of them did. They said it was no good. They said it was too weird. They said it was a waste of time and that it would never become anything. And at first, I believed them. I actually thought about giving up on my idea. I almost listened to them. But then I realized, what do they really know? This is my idea, I thought. No one knows it like I do. And it's okay if it's different and weird and maybe even a little crazy. I decided to protect it, to care for it. I fed it good food. I worked with it, I played with it, but most of all, I gave it my attention. I should memorize this book. My idea grew, and so did my love for it. I built it a new house, one with an open roof, where it could look up at the stars, a place where it would be safe and safe to dream. I liked being with my idea. It made me feel more alive, like I could do anything. It encouraged me to think big, and then to think bigger. It shared its secret with me. It showed me how to walk on my hands because it said, it is good to have the ability to see things differently. I love that part.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't imagine my life without it. Then, one day, something amazing happened. My idea changed right before my eyes. It spread its wings, took flight, and burst into the sky. I don't know how to describe it, but it went from being here to being everywhere. It just wasn't a part of me anymore. It was now a part of everything. And then I realized, what do you do with an idea? You change the world. And in Spanish, and to my kids, I always say, it's a Spanish expression, y colorín colorado, este cuento se ha acabado. And this story is over. So what's your takeaway from that story, Kim and everybody in this room, in this chat? What are you taking away from the story?
Get it out there. One thing I've learned, Dolores, is that through my book and through the TED Talk is that every once in a while I'll get an email from somebody who listened to the talk or read my book, and it has moved them in a certain way, or as they say, it was just what I needed to hear in that moment. Somebody shared your TED link and it was exactly what I needed. And I'm just it makes me so happy that, I trusted in what I had to say. Because sometimes I think I'm not the only one that adopted a child. I'm not the only one that went through this kind of thing. I'm not the only one who's a photographer. Whatever you make up about this whole thing, and just trust that you will help someone or you will influence someone in a positive way with your message. And you have to trust that. Because if it's important to you, it's probably important to someone else as well. Because we're not that unique. We think we're unique. And we're unique in some ways, but in the things that we need, you know, we're more alike than we think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm here, I'm reading, unfortunately I can't put the comments on the screen right now, but Jackie saying you have to share it, Kana saying this is my story, Kathy saying yes. She's saying, Kathy saying, I haven't planned on doing a TED Talk, but now I want to. And she's laughing. I think it has been a secret dream, but too out there to even dream about. So I want to thank you, Kim, for giving us your time today. It really has been my treat and my pleasure to have you, and I think everybody has enjoyed being with you, and also for being the guinea pig for this series that I'm going to start launching every single week. So stay tuned. We're going to be having interviews with TEDx speakers, ideapreneurs, which is what you are, Kim, and everybody in this room. And I want to share with you what I believe, what I'm building as a community, because I want you to stay with me, to continue growing your idea, allowing that idea to inspire you, to guide you, and to say yes to really this gift that you were given. Each one of us was given a gift of an idea that we obviously have said yes to. And while it might be scary, it is how we change the world. And it is how we leave our legacy. Person here or there, it's still a big impact. So stay tuned. There's going to be a big announcement on September 22nd, but between now and then, we're going to have a lot of interviews and conversations with ideapreneurs.
Well, thank you, Dolores. I've enjoyed this so much, and thank you for all your comments. I've been able to see some of your comments, so thank you, everybody, and good luck if you do a talk, and go for it.
Yeah. And Ale, I know you're watching. Ale, make sure you put Kim's link to her talk and her website, Kim Fuller Photography, on the chat, because unfortunately I'm not able to do it on the screen.
You did it once, so thank you, Ali. That was nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. So this video is going to be posted on my Facebook page. Go back to it, share it away. It's for you to spread the message as well, Kim, and everybody in this chat. And for everybody, have a wonderful weekend. It's beautiful weather here in the US. And I'm looking forward to some family time.
Good, me too.
Thank you, Kim. I love you, and I love everybody in the room. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Bye.